Hello again, it's Jim. I'm going to do a series of videos about the cameras that I own and how to use them when shooting video. I've searched YouTube for videos on how to use the different cameras that I have for taking video, specifically for taking video. I've looked at some of the instructional videos that are out there for the different cameras, and a lot of them are reviews, unboxings, user's guide for everything, mostly emphasizing still pictures. Well, it's all well and good, but they kind of brush over or gloss over how to use it for video, which is my primary purpose for these cameras. So I figure what I'll do is my videos will kind of fill the gap a little bit. Maybe provide a little instruction on how to shoot video with the different cameras that I have. I'm starting right now with the Coolpix S3500, which is what I'm shooting this on right now, by the way. I've got this thing on a selfie stick, or a selfie stick tripod, which is actually kind of bulky for being a selfie stick, but it is lightweight enough for that. And I'm going to go through the different modes, shooting modes, color options, white balances that exist on this camera, and how you can use those for video. Hope you enjoy it. The S3500 and similar cameras are compact and very portable. Mine is smaller than my wallet and easily fits into a pocket. To me, that's the main reason I would find it useful as a walking around camera to create videos on the fly. It doesn't take the best video at only 720p, but it's reasonable enough that I shouldn't be afraid to use it. I just wouldn't consider it a primary camera. I do have to take issue with something that the manual says. It says the maximum movie length for a single movie is 29 minutes, and that if you're shooting at 720p, it's 15 minutes. I don't find that to be true. I noticed when I turn it on and when I try to record a movie is I get 8 minutes and 11 seconds. So this is really not suitable for a longer video. It's suitable for some really short clips. Another thing according to the manual is that optical zoom can't be adjusted once the movie recording begins. I found this to be true as well. So you'll have to frame your shot and zoom appropriately before starting to record. Supposedly it allows for continuous versus single autofocus, both when taking images and when taking video. I'm not so sure that the camera actually obeys the single versus continuous autofocus, despite what the manual says. In my testing, I noticed it looked like that it was continuously autofocusing. I tested it indoors and outdoors on a variety of subjects, and it looked like it was continually autofocusing. One thing I tested was scene mode, which allows you to select various scenes, including auto, portrait, landscape, sports, etc., in order to change how your images and video look. Most everything that I tested, everything pretty much looked the same. Auto, portrait, landscape, those all looked the same. The ones that seemed to make a difference were the dusk dawn and the night landscape, food, and then black and white copy. Those actually changed the images. Another thing that I tested was the special effects mode. Soft softens the image, just as advertised. Nostalgic sepia changes it to a sepia color. High contrast monochrome does make it black and white. High key lightens things up a bit, where low key darkens things a bit. There's a special effect called pop, which lightens, softens, and then gives some kind of strange effects to the colors. Super vivid also has some strange effects. Painting, supposed to make it look like a painting, but I think they were kind of strange effects. Toy Camera 1 and 2, those were very interesting to play with. I'm not sure that I would actually use them. selective color can isolate a single color, but the results are not exactly perfect. Cross process is the final special effect, and that's like adding a subtle color filter over your lens. White balance is an interesting one to play with as well. Typically, I just run an auto white balance, and everything pretty much comes out normal. There are others, like daylight or cloudy, if you are in bright sunshine or on a cloudy day. Incandescent and fluorescent for indoor use as appropriate. And then there's another one called preset manual, which you can tell it how to white balance. And that has some interesting effects that we'll talk about a little later. Something else that I tested was color options. There are various effects that you can use to alter your picture. Standard and vivid both seem to look normal to me, even though vivid is supposed to make the colors pop a bit. Black and white, of course, is black and white monochrome. Sepia makes things look sepia like old pictures. And another interesting one is called cyanotype. It does give a monochrome appearance, and it tends towards purple. At least that was my experience with it. Another thing I tested was the wind noise reduction feature. You can get to that on the menus. It does reduce the wind noise, but it does tend to distort speech just a little bit. Now here's a couple of bonus tips for you. This is for creativity. If you use white balance preset manual, and instead of taking a picture of a white or gray object, you use a blue object. You could even point it to the sky if you'd like. In my case, I pointed it to a blue seat cover on a stool that I have on my balcony. It gives your image a warmer look to it. This is something you could do if for some reason you can't or are not able to do any color grading in your video editor. A couple of other options for your creativity is if you go into the color options and select cyanotype, and then use exposure compensation, turn it to -1, -2, something along those lines, then you could turn day into night. Unfortunately, it does tend to make things look a little bit purple, but it does work. And also, you could use dusk dawn for a scene mode and do the same thing. So select dusk dawn for your scene mode, and then set your exposure compensation to -1, -2. You could almost turn day into night. So, after reviewing the features of this camera and how it works when you're shooting video, I found a few disadvantages as well. The first is that the S3500 produces AVI files, not QuickTime movies and not MP4 files. Some editing software like DaVinci Resolve doesn't like these kind of files and can't really work with them, so they'd have to be converted first. Also, you can't control the shutter speed on it. So if you're going to get proper motion blur using 1/60th of a second shutter speed for the 30 frames per second that it shoots, you're not necessarily going to get that either. Some of the effects that I showed earlier could easily be done using good video editing software as well. Also, this camera doesn't seem to have good video stabilization, so it could be difficult to get handheld shots or to use it for vlogging. My recommendation, I wouldn't go out and buy this camera specifically looking to shoot video with it. They want more than $200 for it on Amazon as I record this, and you can get a whole lot better cameras for $200. But if you already have one, or if you were gifted one, why not take a chance on it? Wouldn't hurt to give it a try for video. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks. Have a good one.